Cari amici sportivi, welcome yet to another edition of the Milan Weekly Podcast. Here we're talking everything Milan. What are you showing off there, Steve?
Get well, Maradona. Get well.
Get well. Is he sick? Something's wrong
I
with
don't know.
him?
He's released from hospital again.
All right, Maradona. Get well wishes here from the Milan Weekly Podcast. Well, we're not professionals.
Nor do we pretend to be.
So, we got a lot of things to go through today. We got, a special guest where we're going to get into very soon. But, Steve, I want to change things up before we start. We got kind of in trouble last week. Presidente wasn't too happy with us. And in the spirit of him scolding us, putting us in the corner, can you put us in perspective for this week's president? Because we're getting straight into the presidential point. So what do you got?
So Presidente and his adventure to come up with this week's presidential points is very simple, Vince. As you know, Presidente is an accountant by day.
Yes.
Sound engineer by night.
Oh, I did not know that.
As frigid temperatures here in Canada.
Very frigid.
He cuts the wood by himself.
Outside.
So yes, so basically he goes out into his backyard.
Bare-chested.
Bare-chested. No, never bare-chested. Always with aganotia. Okay, gold chain. Okay, he has
for non-Italians, that's the wife beater.
Yeah, he has the suspenders on, but not on to hold up his pants. They're hanging loose like the cool lumberjacks.
Okay.
And he chops away at the wood as he brings in 14 cords of wood, single-handedly with no help. All these presidential points are coming to him, but they're not coming to him with love. They're coming with anger. Because he knows that last week we skipped over and did not read some of the presidential points that came to him so beautifully. So these are angry presidential points, people, for this week's Milan Weekly Podcast.
And what the president doesn't know is that we're going to continue doing the exact same thing because that's what we're all about, right? So before we introduce our guest, Steve,
yes.
I was quite excited to hear about this special guest of ours.
Of course.
And
of course, the special guest was my idea.
Yeah.
Goldberg again with the wrestling.
We didn't get Goldberg. You said we're getting Goldberg, so I'm like Goldberg.
No!
Goldberg. No. So okay, well I'm a bit let down. So exactly what are we getting over here, Steve? You want to do the honors?
Yeah, it's Alex from the Calcio Land, who I've had the pleasure of being on, and so have you had the pleasure of being on.
Yes, I did have the pleasure.
But I'm pretty sure if you ask Alex and David, they like it better when I'm on than you're on.
Most probably. Alex, so you're there. So I hope that I heard that you just got hitched, and I hope that will be your wedding song when you come out. Everybody's Goldberg, Goldberg. Thanks very much for being on and for having at one time Steve, at one time me. We really appreciate it. Now we're just returning the favor, giving you a rub. All right. So before we get into it, this is our segment where you get to put yourself over. Talk a bit about yourself. We understand that you're a Chelsea fan. You're on the Calcio Land podcast. Talk about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm definitely a Chelsea fan. If you follow me on Twitter, you're a brave soul. But you also know that I'm a Chelsea fan through and through. Very obnoxious and loud about Chelsea. I've been a Chelsea fan an avid fan for at least a decade now. That was definitely Frank Lampard that got me into it. But I am from the United States, from Boston, so I actually just grew up a fan of U.S. sports, to be honest, and didn't get into
It's the best time of the year, Alex.
Steve loves it. You know, what better guest to have like to a Chelsea fan? Because obviously, like, you know, we're gonna address the elephant in the room here. But you were talking about Serie A. Is there one particular team, or is it all Serie A love?
You know, it's definitely all Serie A love right now. In terms of, like, I keep saying on the Calciolan podcast that if a certain player goes to a certain team, then I'll finally throw my hat in the ring fully for that team. But so far, it really hasn't fully swayed me one way or the other. I have a couple players I like, but you know, I like Alexandro and I like Lorenzo Insigne. But what you guys will like is my team for much of the beginning of my FIFA career, and that sounds funny, but me playing so much FIFA, I still do, but especially like 5, 6, 7 years ago is when Thiago Silva and Zlatan were on Milan. That was my team. I mean, Obama, like, just so many of them. That's I absolutely love that Milan team, and to this day, it's probably my best FIFA team in terms of the team I played best with. But yeah, overall, I'm still searching for the one.
I think I like this Goldberg a bit better than the other Goldberg. So very, very, very nice. Look, we're gonna get straight into it because we're gonna have a lot to talk about. So. Obviously, you know, presidential point number one, Mercato-wise, you know, there are rumors that Higuain has been unhappy from day one at Milan, as he never got to play with CR7 at Juve, nor did Chelsea acquire him because of their policy in regards to players aged over 30 years old. So, what are you hearing from the Chelsea side? Is there really interest on Sarri's part to reunite with Capito, or is it all noise just in Italy? From our own perspective, would you like to see Higuain at Chelsea over Morata?
Yeah, so I definitely think it's more the noise, especially more the noise from Italy, because it is certainly, you know, I try to follow only credible rumors, but as you guys know, at this time of year, it's really difficult. So you're seeing random sources and then very credible sources, even over here just on the England side of things. And it's been widely reported since the summer that, yeah, Sarri doesn't really like to get too involved in transfers, but he wanted Higuain in the summer. And it was pretty much the Chelsea board with their policy of players over 30 denying Sarri the chance to get Higuain, because they really don't like to even give extensions to current players that are over 30 over 1 year. A couple of veterans right now are dealing with that at Chelsea, but they certainly also have a lot of trepidation towards acquiring players already over 30. So it didn't happen in the summer, but now because of Chelsea's problems at striker and the fact that it's so glaring that that's really the one position that's needed, naturally the Gonzalo Higuain talks have sprouted again. And once again, it kind of seems like, yeah, Maurizio Sarri doesn't fully care about the transfer market, but it's got to be at least set in conversation. You got to think that behind closed doors, if there's any type of talks between him and Marina, who makes the moves for Chelsea, and just the Chelsea board in general, that he is saying that they need a striker. And I mean, it's very widely publicized, the relationship that Higuain and Sarri have. Sarri even, I don't know if it was him, but it's been reported that Sarri viewed Higuain as like a second son for a little while. So I think it's definitely more than noise. I really think there are legs to it, and it's certainly something that Chelsea fans now want, just because they want a striker really badly. But also, it's got to be something that Maurizio Sarri wants, because in all fairness, sure, he's not fully involved in the transfer market, but he deserves a striker that can actually play. And in his eyes, that would definitely be at Gonzalo Higuain. So, you know, I think, I really, in my opinion, I think it will happen, but I'm no reporter. And then I would definitely prefer Higuain over Morata in general. Morata is just not the right fit for Chelsea. He really, really isn't. There was a lot of hope for Morata just based on the fact that he did perform well at Real Madrid.
No, they're definitely well said from over there. But Steve, before I get you to the second question, is that it's a lot of rumors, a lot of noise, a lot more than noise. But at one point, we had started printing Tevez jerseys, so I don't believe anything until it's actually official. Steve, before we move on to that second question, do you have anything to add to this? Do you? What do you? I know you love this time of the year.
I love this time of the year. Everybody knows it. I sit back and I take a sip of my hot cocoa and I watch, right? And I watch and I read, and I like it for that, right? And like I said last week, the reasons I like it is probably the reasons like someone like David and everybody else hates it, right? Because there's so much out there. But I know you touched on Marina there. She's kind of like she was a hidden figure, and now she's becoming more popular in terms of that she makes a lot of the decisions at Chelsea. And do you think that they should relook that 30-year-old policy? Because it's not, the 30-year-olds are not really 30-year-old anymore, right? They're so fit. And like sometimes like a team like Chelsea, where I've heard you in the past there, Alex, on the show, talking to David about some of Chelsea's players who come up through the youth ranks and don't get a fair shot. And Sadi is known to not have a lot of rotation, right? So is that 30-year-old Higuain that missing piece for Chelsea?
Yeah, so I think the 30-year-old policy should really be case by case. Now, I understand it, and for somebody who does preach that Chelsea need to use more youth, you would think I wouldn't be too against it, because if anything, it would cater to younger players if you're not going to acquire a lot of plus 30-year-old players and extend them. But I really do think it should be case by case, because I think Gonzalo Higuain is a perfect example. Is right now Chelsea don't need a long-term option at striker. They need to get a striker in right now that can help them secure a top four finish in the Premier League, because Chelsea need to get back in the Champions League. So that's the goal. That's the main goal. Right when Sarri was hired, the main goal was qualifying for Champions League next year, top four finish. And right now Chelsea are locked into fourth. They're 6 points ahead of Arsenal, 6 points ahead of Manchester United. But if you look at the goals scored, they've scored the least amongst the top six. It is just such a glaring weakness. And Eden Hazard has had to deal with just the failure after failure after failure up there with him. And somehow he's leading the Premier League in assists, which is just astonishing in my opinion. Yeah. So you give him Gonzalo Higuain, even if it's not the prime Higuain, it's going to be something that Hazard hasn't been able to play with since he had Diego Costa. So it would really help Sarri ball, and I put that in quotes. But also, I mean, you're not bringing in just a random striker who's on the back nine, who might not be able to integrate quickly. You're bringing in somebody who's played under Maurizio Sarri. So I really think that's why this should be a case-by-case basis in terms of they need a striker and they don't need a long-term option. They need a short-term option right now. It really shouldn't matter what age Gonzalo Higuain is. But for other cases, I understand and I don't hate it. But it shouldn't be black and white in terms of, oh no, we just won't acquire players over 30.
Yeah. And also there, Alex, I have an idea.
No?
I have an idea. Let's say, the Higuain stuff doesn't work. I'm pretty sure, and I can speak for all of Milan Twitter, we would be more than happy to take on Eden Hazard off your hands.
Oh, yeah, well...
No problem. I would love to see him in a black and red.
16 easy payments
exactly,
over a span of 6 years.
All jokes aside there, we know that Higuain has been lacking that service. And like you said there, I don't think it's that complicated. If they really want to do it, to be very honest with you, and looking from across the pond, like yourself,
yeah.
the guy... Higuain I'm talking about is starving for service. Someone like Hazard has just service to give, right? It's constant fantasia after fantasia, you understand? So Morata, I'm not a big fan of Morata, guys. I'll be very honest with you. I saw him go to Chelsea. I saw his time at Juve. I think that his game just doesn't suit the EPL. And I get the confidence thing. I just think I find him very clumsy. I find him... and someone like Higuain, he's still young. I get it, but at a certain point, let's pick up the pace, brother.
So straight swap, would you do it?
No, absolutely not.
How about you, Alex? Would you do straight swap?
Oh, I would do it from a Chelsea side, yeah.
So we've got a different opinion on that one. And speaking of the whole Higuain thing, going into question number 2 is, the way it was handled by the Milan side, very open, read between the lines. Well, not really read between the lines, because Gattuso really came out and said exactly what he felt. Alex, are you surprised the way Milan has been handling this? Would you, if we were in Chelsea's shoes, would you prefer Chelsea to keep their mouth shut and surprise, or do you like this kind of like open with the fans and letting us know exactly what's going on?
Well, I always love honesty. I do really love transparency, and at Chelsea, I've dealt with managers that do both. Mind games from like Jose Mourinho, and then I would actually think Antonio Conte and Mauricio Sarri are two more honest managers, and there's good and bad to both approaches. But listen, we're just sitting here as fans, and we like the honest approach because it really lets us know what's going on. But I think when when you're a player, it's much different when your manager speaks honestly about the situation. But honestly, I mean, the way Milan are handling it in terms of just being transparent, I mean, that's what I'm getting from them. And Gattuso, it's not the worst thing. I mean, I really, for me, Milan just needs to be able to have the least amount of distraction just because of everything Milan is fighting for right now. I mean, just in the thick of it in terms of Serie A and trying to qualify for Champions League themselves. So it's probably best to just tell the truth and be honest and open about it. Honestly, it seems like Higuain is also not a character right now who is a dummy. He kind of just knows the situation. He knows, I mean, first of all, he's also not hiding his feelings. I should say that first and foremost. It just seems like ever since the summer, reports of him not wanting or being upset that he didn't get to play with Ronaldo and leaving Juventus, and then him knowing that Sarri wanted him and that the Chelsea board blocked it. I mean, he hasn't been very bashful about hiding his feelings, and Gattuso doesn't really seem like he's going to hide his feelings either. He's a straight shooter. So, as a fan, I like the transparency. As a player, maybe I would rather it be vague, because then you wouldn't get direct messages from fans, and it would just kind of be harder to read. But personally, I like the transparency. I really do. I guess I'm not really thinking, though, how that could help Milan or hurt Milan on the pitch. But I feel like at the end of the day, I'd rather the manager just be honest about the situation.
And but what Alex might not know is that Higuain is nowhere to be found, because he took out Gattuso
Right.
in the training, right? And all of a sudden, where is he? Oh, I don't know.
See, I like transparency too, and especially on the Mercato madness, it helps with some of the things. I just wish Milan would be a little bit more straightforward. Like, look, let's talk about it once, let's squash it, and let's not make it a distraction. It seems like this thing has taken a character of its own. There's the soap opera that is Mercato Madness, and a side sequel, kind of parallel soap opera is starting between Milan and Higuain. I don't want this anymore for my team. I don't see this with any other stupid team. It's always Milan. They just find a way to whether they want to be honest or whether they want to lie, they always find a way to make it complicated.
And what kind of precedent, guys, do you set, like, for any top strikers for the future? Is that what? So all these guys come, they do 6 months, they can't handle it, they want to leave, and it's like, people don't, maybe they'll second guess themselves if they do want to come to Milan. So I guess we'll see what happens throughout the next couple of weeks.
And
we'll
look,
see after
this is going to be the second time. We've gone through this merry-go-round already once. Snake Bonucci.
Yeah.
And to be very honest, Joe, I don't want to go through it again. Do I hate Higuain? No. Do I blame him for this? Like, make a decision, man. Like, let's just go and let's just get on with it. And it's not his fault. It's just it's dragging too long. It's dragging too long, and it's it's convenient that all this came up right before we have to play the Super Cup against Juventus
at the worst possible
time.
And now let's dream a little bit that tomorrow we actually beat the Juventus and Higuain scores. All of a sudden things are back. Who knows what the hell's gonna go on? Sorry, not tomorrow, on Wednesday, but. Which is most important out of all this Chelsea Milan talk, people, Higuain. Let's talk about our favorite new player, Steve's favorite new player.
Bakayoko Koko.
That's yes, and that's the proper way. Steve went to find out exactly the way you pronounced his last name. From there, I don't know. Like, how do you? I know you haven't seen him play very much, but are you surprised from Bakayoko? And I keep on saying that if it wasn't for these injuries, I don't think he would have had those 6, 7, 8 games to really give him a chance. But are you surprised from his performance? And are you out of your mind Chelsea at 35 million? I'm still with that 35 million over there. But no, kidding aside, what do you think seeing Bakayoko play the way he's been playing?
Wow. So I mean, I've tried to catch as much as possible of Bakayoko in a Milan shirt, especially recently with all these man of the matches he's been collecting. And if I haven't caught it live, I've caught it on those compilations on YouTube where it's a highlight video of every time they touch the ball, so you see the good and the bad. And man, I mean, that is not the player we guys gave to you. That is definitely not the player Chelsea gave to Milan. We talk about confidence with Morata. It was really quite a joke at the end of last year in terms of we had two players at Chelsea, and Morata and Bakayoko, who had less confidence than a fourth grader new to the sport. I mean, Bakayoko was lost, absolutely lost. And, last year was an up and down year for him. He showed glimpses to the point where there were a lot of Bakayoko defenders because he still is young. But the idea of having him next to his French partner, N'Golo Kante, was really nice on paper. And it just didn't materialize. And Antonio Conte, in my opinion, was a little guilty of rushing him back at the very start of the season. He had an injury, but Conte needed him to play. Just never looked right the whole season, but you did see glimpses now and then. Feels like he either had like a solid game or the worst game you've ever seen a professional footballer have. And then, once Maurizio Sarri was hired, appointed manager, it really was more just a shame for Bakayoko. It was nothing that he had done wrong, but he just doesn't seem like a Maurizio Sarri midfielder, especially with what he looked like last year. He just looked clumsy. He looked slow in terms of how he read the game. He looked slow in terms of how he passed, how he ran. And in preseason, he didn't look great either. Maurizio Sarri wants quick passing. He wants players to keep their head up. And Bakayoko, once again, he looks slum, dull, and really clumsy. And all of a sudden, for Milan, you guys get him, and he didn't start off great. Even Gattuso is kind of questioning publicly about Bakayoko. And then all of a sudden, as you guys say, there's still a lot of injuries. I don't know what's going on with your medical staff over there, but Bakayoko starts just playing like the CM we thought we were getting over here at Chelsea. I mean, really just sound performances and very forceful. I mean, that's what I've been seeing. He looks forceful and confident and better on the ball than he certainly showed for stretches at Chelsea. And I'm happy for him, to be honest. I'm really happy for him because it sucks seeing a player look so lost and look so down on himself. And, it does Chelsea no good if he sucks. I mean, if he's good for you guys and you guys want to buy him, then sure, it's money in Chelsea's pocket. It does absolutely nothing for Chelsea if he doesn't play well.
Easy payment plan. Remember, we cannot buy people straight off. As long as you guys are open to an easy payment plan, don't pay interest for 1 year or anything like that, we're good.
And you know what, Alex? You touched on something good. I'm gonna bring it back there because it's forever engraved in my brain and in my eyes, and I can't believe I saw it. Against Atalanta this year, Bakayoko was on the field. We were winning 2-1. We were on a counterattack. He looked like that fourth grader that you spoke about.
Yeah.
He looked completely lost. Then lost the ball and he jogged back like a golden girl. Betty White could have beat him in a race. And that day, and I was watching the game, and I was like, this cannot be. This cannot be from a professional player. There has to be something wrong with him. And I have to take some credit. So, if you speak to Marina, just let her know that it's because of me.
Yeah.
Because of the constant badgering on this podcast of him that he turned this game around.
So it's all because of Steve, right? And that's the way we roll over here. Unfortunately, he couldn't do the same thing for Matri or Kalinic or anything like that. But at least you got a good with Bakayoko. We have time for one last one with you, Alex. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I love how he goes from the Chelsea talk to a completely different president. We gotta love you. He wanted to ask you about, the Genoa fans are enraged by the decision of Lega Calcio to change the start time of the match versus Milan. The game will be played at 3 p.m. instead of at 9 p.m. They have about 18,000 season ticket holders, many of whom won't be able to go at that game because they're working. So, as an expert,
hold on a second.
He's putting him over.
They don't work in Italy.
Yeah, that's true, huh? They don't work.
These are people that sleep for 1 hour at lunchtime and come more than 1 hour. They siesta and come back at 7 o'clock to finish.
They're pissed off that their the
siesta time is cut.
Exactly.
Okay,
right?
now I get it.
So, as an expert in the Premier League, how often do you see matches change on the Premier League schedule, and what are your thoughts on Serie A posting schedule a few weeks at a time and changing the dates and times as they please during the season? Yeah, I don't think I've seen that very much times in the Premier
League. To his defense and to Serie A's defense, the NFL does this very, very well. They have like a flex schedule.
Okay.
So especially near the end of the year. So if let's say two teams who they had on a Sunday night at 8 o'clock are both clinched for the playoffs or out of the playoffs, they'll flex that game out and they'll flex in a game that comes from, let's say they'll put, this year was an example, the Colts and the Titans because it was for a playoff spot. You understand? So they do that very well. But that's for a playoff spot. This is like
Did they even explain why they changed it?
It's something to do with lo comune. The community wants it.
The community wants it, but taking it to the Premier League, like not to say that I watch it religiously, but it's very rare, is it not, to them to just pull out these schedules a few weeks ahead and to change game time this so very close to the game time.
Very rare. Very rare. I mean, they're really good about changing it hardly ever. I mean, once in a while, I'll see something on Twitter, and if it is a time changing, it's not a 6-hour time change usually. If anything, it's probably changing days because another team has to play on another day because they're in another competition or something. And even when I see that announcement, it's for like months ahead of time, and I think to myself, why do I even care about something that's changing in 3 or 4 months?
Yeah.
So for season ticket holders in Serie A, having to, every few weeks at a time, that's awful. That sucks. I mean, if I was a ticket holder, whether I'm working or not, whatever I'm doing, I don't want to have to, once I get a ticket and I see what time the game's at, I don't want to have to then make sure to check on later to make sure it hasn't been changed or even wait for a notification that it's been changed. I mean, in the Premier League, you really only see it when, there's an FA Cup, and when you tie in the FA Cup, there can be a replay and stuff. So then every once in a while, if you have to play a replay game in those cups, then your Premier League game will have to be postponed. But you really don't see a lot of times change. So, and there shouldn't be. I mean, come on, the fans are hugely important in this sport, and it really would be really unprofessional if leagues were just changing every few, I'm changing a game time 2 weeks from now. That would really suck. So I feel for the Genoa fans. That's really unfortunate, and honestly, teams and clubs need to be better about that.
And I think a lot of probably the sponsorship for the Premiership have a lot to say. These kind of like
Premiership doesn't change games.
No, exactly.
They don't change games.
So that's setting up for you guys, and it's not like things we've never seen before. And hey, what do you want to do? Alex, before we send you off, where can people find you? I know Steve right now is looking at your Twitter. He's creeping your Twitter page, and
I don't need to creep his Twitter page. I know him.
Yeah, you guys.
I listen to him all the time. I listen to him. I started to like Chelsea because of him.
Oh, so yeah, just give us plug.
And his main man. We gotta plug his main man.
His main man?
Yeah, because I'm gonna mispronounce his name guaranteed. Callum Hudson.
Calum.
Callum Hudson Odobiawi.
So yeah, that's, by the way, Steve pronounces things the way he wants to pronounce stuff. So yeah, there we go. But where can people find you, listen to you? Plug away, man. Plug away.
I appreciate it. First of all, Steve, I love the way you pronounce names. You can find me on Twitter at Alex Goldberg _ Pretty straightforward. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of Chelsea stuff, but hopefully it's still entertaining, even if you're not a Chelsea fan. I will tweet about other things. It's just very Chelsea heavy. And then what's been very exciting for me lately, and this stemmed from me doing some Twitter videos, is I started a YouTube channel a few months ago. So that honestly, I called it the byline for a lot of reasons, but also so I wasn't completely cornered into just doing Chelsea. So even though I've only done Chelsea to this point, I will be branching out and I will be doing more videos on other teams and other leagues. So, you can check out the byline on YouTube. And then last but not least, for sure, especially since I'm on a Milan podcast right now, once again, the Calcio Land podcast with David Amoyal. That's just been a lot of fun, and we've been doing that for a while now, almost 2 years now. And it's just, it's great to talk Calcio. And during January, during the summer transfer window, it is extra fun because we get so many listeners from so many different leagues, because it feels like whether it's Di Marzio or it's just Serie A transfers, it feels like it connects to so many leagues. So the Calcio Land podcast is the third and final place you can find me chatting football.
And they talk about The Sopranos.
And they talk about
and movies.
David is very well versed in more than just football.
Yeah.
So if you ever want a entertainment or specifically movies talk, David is the man for you there.
Yeah. And Alex, you could just ask us if you want us to be on the byline for Milan. We'll do it. You don't have to be.
See, I'm glad you said that. So I'm saying it here on the podcast, but to this point, I haven't had any guests on it, and that's because I'm technically, even though I'm a producer and I run a YouTube channel, I'm not as very technically as some may think. So I finally have figured out how to have guests on the channel, and I am going to start branching out to get a guest from each club, and it feels like Chelsea and Milan have a few ties, so I may take you up on that.
Nice.
And hopefully you have a Zola jersey, Chelsea. Vindicinque, Zola, hopefully, because,
Vialli.
Di
Matteo.
A lot of Italians over there, but unfortunately what they did to Di Matteo, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you very much for being on, and I guess we're going to catch you possibly soon on the YouTube machine. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Guys, thank you so much, Steve. Vinny, it's been an absolute pleasure, and let's do this again sometime.
We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. What a guy.
Yeah.
Huh, very nice. Even though I thought we were getting Goldberg.
Drain my battery.
I thought, we were going to have the fireworks, Goldberg,
and spit coming out and everything.
Steve, when we first got the first email, and, I like his perspective from a Chelsea fan, and but when I got the first email, I was kind of a little excited, because, I saw 5 presidential points, but my excitement, guys, it lasted for about 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Because what did we get after that,
at
Steve?
207, another 7 presidential points. No, another 3.
Part 2. In case you guys have more time, you want to talk about more, but because he told us off,
this is like when you're watching a soap opera and someone he pushes someone over the edge, and the guy's falling.
Yeah.
And it's to be continued.
Yeah.
Boom. This is when he sent another
right away. So, do you wanna? So the Mercato madness, we're still gonna be with the Mercato, and guys. On the WhatsApp group,
this is out of respect for me, though.
Yeah, no, he doesn't like me. He doesn't like me. But the WhatsApp group of the Milan Montreal club,
it was on fire.
You guys are on fire, and we started this group because we just wanted to make sure if
somebody
needs a ride,
we wanted to carpool.
Don't forget, on Wednesday, no updates. You hear? Everybody, no updates. And Presidente, don't give us. I feel it, guys. Shh. Okay. And for that, we'll promise to go through all the presidential points. Mercato madness. Out of respect for Vice President, not even your name, Vice President, would like him to summarize the best part of the past week in Calcio Mercato news, and let him just share his thoughts while Vinny sits back drinking beer and listen. He's already judging me.
He's on water.
But I will, before I get to, because you're obviously going to talk about more of that, where do you stand on, forget Higuain not saying anything, but not even his brother? Nothing coming out of those two?
I don't know. But the best part has been this whole Higuain thing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
There's nothing better. Newspaper after newspaper. It's been hashtagged so much. It's half of Milan Twitter is Higuain out, half of Milan Twitter is Higuain in. All the other teams are jumping on it as well. It's a perfect bombshell.
Yeah.
It's let's put it into perspective where character A, beautiful female girl, and character B, handsome male, marry on a soap opera. We blew up the internet with this thing. And that's Mercato Madness, guys. These guys, whatever it is, whatever piece of information they can take and turn it into a clickbait, an actual story, some perspective, is Mercato Madness, guys. We don't even know if anything was said.
It's just very frustrating when you read into all these things, but then you get all these clickbaits where it's like, Higuain is a Chelsea player. You know what I was thinking about, Steve? We're kind of good on time. You want to call Tommy?
That would be nice.
You know what, guys? This is what the Milan club is all about. We're gonna call Tommy because I'm curious. I'm curious to see what he's got to say. And
Tommy's take, ladies and gentlemen.
And you know, it's probably still on the WhatsApp. Mr. Tommy, we're recording right now, and
he hung up on you.
Oh, what happened? Technology, Tommy. It's not for him.
No. Tommy's on a rotary phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Rotary phone.
Just the way Saki used to have in his office. Yes, Mr. Tommy. Good evening, first of all, and we were recording, and all of a sudden, we're talking about this whole Mercato Madness, and I'm like, Steve, why don't we just call Tommy? And we don't prepare. We just go, shoot from the hip. You got a couple of minutes. Tell the Milan Weekly podcast listeners exactly what your thoughts and feelings are about this whole Mercato Madness / Higuain.
I don't think Higuain is going anywhere.
Okay.
But if he is, he's probably going to go to Chelsea on a loan. And you know what? That's only good. It would be good, actually. You know why?
Tell us.
Because at the end, they're probably going to take Higuain from Juventus at a discount.
Okay.
If I were Milan, and I would have to keep somebody discontent like that, I would sit him on the bench. Regardless if his name is Higuain. You don't want to play for Milan? Nobody wants to take you? Or they don't want to take you with a man? Fine. You'll sit on the bench.
So you think we're in a position that we can tell a guy like Higuain to sit on? It's not Saki be on the bench over there. No, Saki can possibly pull that off, but not I don't think Gattuso could pull that. Well, actually, Gattuso could probably just scare him off from over there. But so you're saying on a loan, and
on a loan. That's what they were saying. That right now Chelsea, they don't want to buy him just yet. They want to get him on the loan. The same rule and the same deal that Milan is going to get.
Steve, the Mercato is changing as we're recording all these. Now it's the loan, it's the this. So look, would you?
The loan thing came out last night, actually.
Oh, sorry. Tommy, no, he gets the papers straight from. He doesn't do internet. He gets the papers from Italy. He reads all that stuff. But Tommy, would you before we let you go, would you do the straight swap of Morata and Higuain?
Never.
How about Bakayoko, Morata for Higuain?
Never.
Not even that.
No.
So you.
I would Morata. Let me tell you, he only was good 1 year with Juventus, but after that, what did he do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. So guys.
He went to Chelsea. He was with Conte. Come on. He was sitting on the bench. Then Sarri came. What did he do? He's still sitting on the bench.
Nothing.
What has he done? You tell me. What has this guy done? Nothing. Unless you want to give up Higuain, go right ahead. Get somebody on the same level.
Who would you buy? Who would you buy, Tommy? Who would you buy?
That's what we need to know.
Me, I would give him in. I would not money that you're going to see. I told you, Barella. Go get Barella.
But Tommy, Barella's not gonna make us secure a fourth spot, man. Come on, Barella's not gonna score as the
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this point. Let me tell you something. It doesn't really matter. As long as next year you have a competitive team. It doesn't matter. Bring in the youngsters. That's what you need. You don't need these old geezers coming in and
That's one way. That's one way how to see it, but it's a great plan. But right now at mid-season, us wanting to secure that fourth spot. Steve, you have anything to tell Tommy before we let him go?
Piatek.
How about Piatek?
Well, you know what? He's young. Well, at that point, why don't you give him a chance?
Well, he says supposedly he wants to come.
You're going to save on salary. You're going to save on salary because Piatek, how much is he getting paid? I think it was when I last saw it was $2 million a year.
Nah.
And that's loyalty. That means in net is $1 million a year. Higuain is getting paid 9.5 net a year.
Net.
It's quite the,
That means almost 18 million euros a year loyalty. Because in Italy the taxes are 45%.
we have another accountant that he's crunching the numbers, Tommy, with Marcello. Maybe one of these days we'll have Marcello and Tommy at the same time. But Tommy, thank you for answering a phone call here at nighttime and being a spontaneous guest. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Well, it's a pleasure talking to you guys.
Have yourself a good night.
You too.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Tommy Steak, ladies and gentlemen. Tommy Steak.
But he didn't talk about the.
No, he's
No,
angry.
he's angry.
He
He's
was on
angry.
the chat. He's angry.
So we're talking about all that stuff.
The Mercato, guys. Look, it's Piatek too. That's $60 million, guys.
But has he scored since those 9 goals at the beginning
Well,
of the
look,
season?
he scores. It's all about, again, guys, it's the scouting. We don't see enough of this guy. And the teams that he's been playing and the teams that he's been scoring against, that's the thing that bothers me.
Until the 31st of January, until it's something official, right? And by official, guys, and you know what?
Jersey.
Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. I went through Di Marzio's site because there's one voice that's usually always right. I didn't see anything on the Higuain. Maybe I missed it or anything. What does he have to say?
I saw it from another Sky reporter. So if another Sky reporter
But I like his
broke
integrity.
the story, you might not see it on his, right? So
Okay, but he hasn't posted. Guys, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Shoot it out on
haven't
the
seen it
Twitter,
either.
Twitter machine. Other point, we had the debut of Paquetá at the last game of
82 minutes.
Coppa Italia. He didn't do bad, right? I don't think people were expecting.
I think that was a terrible change by Gattuso, to be very honest with you. Borini, you know what? Hats off to Bonetti. Bonetti called it at the beginning of the second half. Inevitable Borini for Paquetá substitution.
Where else would you put him in? You would have made him play the whole 90 minutes?
Yeah.
He hasn't played. He stopped playing in Brazil, 3 weeks ago?
Who cares? It's a Coppa Italia game. Who cares? It was such
Maybe
a
wanted to
negative.
win.
It was a negative transfer. It was a negative substitution. That's what bothered me. It was a negative substitution. It's 0-0. It's not like you're winning the game and you want to protect the lead. I get it. Borini didn't give anything more than a Paquetá after 82 minutes. So, what was the point of that change? It just sends the wrong message. You understand? It sends the wrong message to everybody. We're having trouble in the final third. The kid is getting his feet wet.
Maybe he's trying to bring up his value of $12 million to sell him in the winter.
Don't know. But I like Paquetá against Sampdoria. Yeah,
it's supposedly starting, right? Supposedly starting on Wednesday.
Starting again behind the strikers.
So
in the 4-3-3.
We'll see what that goes from over there. And guys, once again, we've said it. Not that it happens every single game. But people keep on saying, "Oh, we have Cutrone, we don't need Higuain." Guys, Cutrone is at his best when he comes off the bench.
Yeah.
I think it's a proven fact. If you look at from all his past games, yes, he's performed well as a starter, but I think he's our. I was with Dov Schiavone on the. I call him Schiavone, Tony Schiavone from WCW, but. We're talking about that, and for me, he's like that super people right now. Like, he's just coming off the bench, put him in at that 65, 70 minute, and let him grow. Don't rush things. We rush things with Pato.
Yeah.
We rush, guys, take it easy. How old is he, 20? Right?
Yeah, but guys, Cutrone doesn't score those goals if he doesn't get 2 masterful assists. That's service.
That was
and
fine.
I tipped, and you know what? I was so happy when I saw...
Sean assisted.
Get out of here. He had a terrible game. He assisted. by the miracle of baby Jesus. By the miracle of baby Jesus. Did you see him? He fell. He tripped over the grass. He tripped by himself over the grass. Had a terrible control that went for a throw-in.
If he scores a Supercoppa...
I don't care. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. Today I read, maybe he's too tired. Maybe he runs too much. That's what I read today. Maybe he runs too much, and when he gets into the final third, he's tired.
What does Casillas say?
I don't know. So, anyways, I wanted to give a compliment to Conte, because what a fantastic cross. Early cross was beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
That was very, very nice, and hopefully we see him in the Supercoppa, which is our last second part of the presidential points. And before giving you predictions for Wednesday's game, please answer this multiple choice question. He says please, but in the end he's giving us an order. When you hear people say that a Supercoppa win might motivate Higuain to stay at Milan, it makes you want to punch a wall. B, laugh really hard. C, cry in a fetal position. D, something else.
B.
It's a laugh really hard. I think I'm gonna go with something else. I think there might be a bit of truth to that. That's my opinion. That's my opinion, because if you guys saw the video of him training today, I don't see him not being happy. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's this, my friend. It's this.
Can I be the glass half full Milanista?
Be the glass half full.
Okay, if Higuain scores and makes us win the Supercoppa, not that the trophy is very illustrious or anything, he's gonna say, "Andiamo, I scored against Juve, we're gonna go for."
Let's just tell you right now, it's a trophy.
It's a trophy.
So for everybody, Roma,
okay,
Inter, Napoli, Lazio, Fiorentina, everybody was gonna. Let's say we win, like we won.
2 years old, 3, yeah,
whatever. It's a trophy. It's not an illustrious trophy, but it's a trophy.
Okay, so if you think this way, just to all Milanistas out there as well, if Juventus wins, don't come out and say, it's just a Supercoppa.
It's a trophy.
It's a trophy.
It's another trophy.
So let's call it straight down the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a trophy for both teams playing for it.
It would be nice to win it.
And if we win, it's going to be it's 2 more trophies than Roma has.
Yeah.
No?
True. No, true. So, hopefully, as long as we don't get trashed like we got trashed last year. That's the way I see it from over there. Do you scroll down there, that email? What else do we have over there? I think we're going to get... Oh, and by the way, Presidente, he got us good though last week, right? Because we completely forgot.
Yeah.
We completely forgot l'indigestione and the brioche of the week. Steve, let's throw a curveball. I'm not going to go with Presidente's his own ideas, right?
What a surprise.
Your indigestion of the week. What would it be? Actually, I like his. What stirred you up this week?
To be very honest, this whole Higuain stirred me up. To be very honest, and it's not Higuain. It's just the way Milan dealt with it, and I said it when we were talking with Alex there. It really bothered me. It's like I don't understand how Milan could make this so complicated. I don't understand why it has to get to what it gets.
Do you think that what's very frustrating is that every single day for the last maybe 2 weeks you have 15 to 20 different post articles, but they're all saying the exact same, and there's no change. No. There's no change from day to day. Going from whether it be clickbait or now they want him on loan, now they want this, and and I don't even know. Like I was joking around before with Bakayoko. Was that even mentioned? Putting him in some sort. Who knows, right? But definitely I'm with you on that one, because it's just so frustrating to just let us know. I think it was the same thing with the whole Bonucci thing, but the Bonucci lasted a week. He made up his mind, and
that's the thing that bothered me. If we wouldn't have gone through this last year and at the beginning of this year with Bonucci, I would have said, you know what, it's Mercato madness. I like it.
Yeah.
But I've gone through this already. I don't want to be toyed with anymore. I don't want my team, who's 7-time Champions League winner, 7 times, be toyed around and used to pawn off players that unfortunately need to be moved out because of financial fair play, just for them to be unhappy for some reason. God forsake, you're playing soccer, Christ. How bad could your life be? How bad could Higuain's life be? That he's unhappy. That's my indigestion of the week.
I'll go with, even though I love the guy, Ibra. I love your comments, but I don't get why. But why? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by taking shots at CR7? Like, I didn't understand. Like, I get you, but now you're saying, like, midway through the season, oh, you're not going to accomplish many things. It's not really a challenge. I love you, Ibra, but I really didn't get your comments, like, taking that.
But I get it. It's not super speed. It's not like he's coming to a team.
Dude? Why now?
Well, because they asked him, and now is what he does what he wants.
That's
but
true.
I don't disagree with him, and I'll say the same thing with Pep. When he said, "Oh, I'm moving away from from Barcelona for a challenge," and then he went to Bayern Munich. Wow, that's a challenge there, people. Then you leave Bayern Munich and say, "Wow, okay, he's gonna go for another challenge."
But if
learns English and goes to Manchester
But if
City.
CR7 would have said, "I'm going to Juve to help them win the Champions League," maybe that's what he meant, right? But anyways, and your feel good moment of the week,
Conte.
Conte's pass there.
Fantastic. Not only the pass, just to see him on the field. You see the quality that this player has. I'm not just saying the cross. Look, Calabria has been doing a hell of a job.
Yeah.
But I think for us to succeed, Conte needs to be 100%.
I hope what we saw is a glimpse of what's to come, right? So bit by bit, no rushing, right? We'll go from over there. President saying that Cutrone for him was his brioche of the week.
What a surprise.
Right? He's gonna
Cutrone. Cutrone fa gol. Gol di Cutrone. First lady. Ha fatto gol Cutrone.
I'm gonna go. My feel good moment was Gattuso. You guys know that we're both Calabrese, and when he said, if it was up to me, I would bring him to my house, lock him in a room, throw him some food every couple of hours. But hey, it's not up to me, guys. He was serious about something. He would be ready to do something like that, and it just warmed my heart when I heard that, because he spoke like one of us from over there.
I would have loved if they would have panned to the PR person's face when he said that. Just to see that person's reaction is like, how much trouble and how much damage control am I going to have to do with this statement?
Guys, before we get in trouble, thank you, Presidente, for the wonderful presidential points, the wonderful guests that we got, And
that's on me.
Well, put him over a bit, Presidente.
Okay.
But guys, we got game Wednesday. We'll see. We're gonna talk again next week. Supercup. Hopefully in better circumstances. Hopefully a bit more clarity on this whole Higuain thing. And in the end, Steve, ovunque sempre.
Forza Milan!
Ciao.